Do it later.
Purple and gold family, stand to your feet, put your crossbones up and lean side to side, yeah, and lean side to side, yeah, and lean side to side. Come on, yeah. Welcome to the island, man, it's crazy in here. A whole sea of purple and gold waving in here. Keep a plank on the shark tank, traders beware, because we got a whole bunch of rowdy sailors in here. On the ready, bang the lane, be aware, cause if the backboard break, glasses spray everywhere.
Welcome into the Pirate Playback right here on the Sports Objective, presented by L&K Custom Homes. And with us right now, we have Kyle from the Grange Barber, the kinder and gentler Kyle. How are you, sir?
I didn't know I was kinder and gentler, but all right, cool. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you? Bubba Rosenbaum, what's up, dude?
Doing well, guys. It's always nice to beat South Florida. The Pirates haven't done that much down through the years. So even though there were, a couple of moments where there in the first half it was frustrating, 23-0 after the break, and pretty solid all-around performance.
No doubt. Matt Semenza, I'll tell you one thing. I was thinking about you with the very fact of at halftime, I said, you know what, we're going to still win this game. And I think that the three guys on this podcast, in addition to a former football player, we know how bad you guys have been hurting, and maybe you guys are hurting more when you see the program that was like at the lowest of low. I think that's probably the lowest. It has to be the lowest in the history of our school. And to see the way that we were quickly down, like those two scores, 14, But the great thing about this team that I love, as the Pirates are victorious, by the way, 29-14, is the fact that they're fighting. They're fighting every single play. And the very fact that we came back and won that game, and I know Coach Houston talked about it, if that had been in years past, they would have folded like an old card table. I mean, it would have been over.
Oh,
quick.
no doubt about it. No doubt about it, Dave. I mean, we had all talked before that game, and I think the common theme was that was kind of a make or break game. Not only for the rest of the season, but I think that could have really that loss last night could have really affected Mike Houston, and sort of his ability to keep the fan base happy. And at halftime, I'm thinking to myself, wow, we got screwed on that call. That was a touchdown. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, here we go again. And credit to the coaching staff and the team for being able to keep it together and come out the second half and play a great second half. So that was, it shows this team, I'll tell you, they have a lot of fight and they do play a complete game, So it's nice to see.
Yeah, no doubt. And before I say something I wanted to say about the game, I just got some breaking news. Per Pete Thamel, the college football guy.
Yeah, Pete Thamel.
Yeah, the MAC is discussing adding Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky, so that could be the death knell for Conference USA. But anyway, now that I got that out of the way, what you were saying, Matt, is very true. That was the must win, and had we lost, I think then it could have changed the whole the whole complexion of the season. And certainly the way the fan base feels about Houston. Now we have another must-win against Temple. Really, now people can smell a bowl. They can grasp it. Beyond it just being talked about, you can feel that we have the momentum in the football team that can get us there. Temple's another must-win. If you take care of business against Temple, that's 5 wins. That means we got to find a way to win one of the last 3 to get to a bowl. So another must-win coming up, and we're this close, guys. We got to get across the finish line.
No doubt about it. That's the thing that's really exciting, is the fact that we are so close. I mean, 4 wins, and the fact that this is not the last game of the season. This is actually where we have a chance now to, like Kyle said, I mean, literally, guys, we're going to make Matt's dream come true, that he's going to be with us hanging out on Black Friday, tailgating. I'm telling you, Chrissy, come on. We're going to have a great time, and we're going to make that happen. We're going to talk it into fruition. It's going to happen, because I really believe you guys, when we're looking at with our next game, Temple, the fact that, Matt, I wanted to ask you the fact that, Bubba, you guys, we have the Thursday night game, right? We win that game. We had that short turnaround. We win the game, and we had 2 games back to back that were so close. We win that game last night, and then we had that nice 9 days before the next game that's a winnable game. I'm feeling really good because those Matt and Bubba, you can talk about this time of year is where everybody's hurt a little bit, everybody's banged up a little bit. This gives us some time to get a little bit fresher. You know, it's almost like another, not really a bye week, but it gives you a little bit extra time.
Definitely. And, you know, you could see towards the end of that game, you started to see some guys limp off the field a little bit there. You saw McMillan sort of hobble off late, which scared the hell out of me. And then I think it was Elijah Morris. I think you saw hobble off there for a little bit. I did see him come back. I know Rajay took a big shot or two. So I do think after that game, a quick turnaround. That was a rough stretch for the guys coming off a game Saturday night in Houston where you basically get back into Greenville at 6:00 a.m., you know, and get right back to work. So I think in this case, it definitely helps us. And we should be absolutely sky high for that Temple game. And that should be a beatdown. That should be an absolute beatdown, I'm going to say. So I'm looking forward to it.
It should be, but I'll take a 1-point win. I will say this. A lot of people were saying we were going to blow out South Florida, and in the end, we won out. We won by 15. The reason I thought that game was going to be close, I had a bad feeling going into the game last night. That was just a feeling. But the reason I thought that game was going to be closer than most people thought, and it really was, you know, we put it away late, was two things. One, I thought we were going to come out flat because of the short week, get back late from Houston, et cetera. Two, South Florida is better than people think they are. South Florida almost beat Tulsa a couple weeks ago, had that game won and blew it. They just blew out Temple. They were very competitive against BYU. They've gotten much better as the season's gone on. So South Florida isn't as bad as people think. They are a much better football team than they were last year. Mm-hmm. So that was a better win than people are going to give it credit for. I think South Florida will probably win another game or two before the season's over. So we should be very pleased with the way we played in the second half.
Hey, by the way, guys, how about the fact that that's only Bubba, isn't that 3-9 all time now? And we have never beaten South Florida in Greenville until last night.
Yeah, and we haven't had as many opportunities to beat them in Greenville, to be honest with you.
I know.
We played them in Tampa more than we have Greenville, plus we played them on a neutral field in the bowl game back in 2006. But, yeah, you're correct.
Well, going into last night, we were 0-5, like Dave's saying, against South Florida in Greenville. In a lot of those games, quite frankly, with the exception of you had that 2003 game where Vontae Leach went wild and ran for a lot of yards, but unfortunately we doinked the PAT there in was it the end of regulation or even overtime?
It was overtime.
And then in 2015 we lost a close game that Matt and I actually talked to Bryce Williams about on the Pulse of Pirate Nation prior to yesterday's game. We lost 22-17, but the other three have been blowouts. And we've given up as many as 60-some points against the Bulls in 2016. But last night, we found a way to get it done, overcame the lackluster first half, especially on the offensive side of the ball, where Coach Houston, as Coach Houston noted in the postgame, we just simply stopped ourselves a lot of times. And we found a way to work through that, and that's obviously another staple of learning how to win and just becoming the program that we want to be. But in addition to that, it's the first time that we've ever won consecutive games against South Florida. Of course, the Pirates won 44-24 last year down in Tampa, and this is also the first time we've started AAC play at 2-2 since 2015, which is Ruff and McNeil final season at the helm. And then as far as forcing turnovers, we have now forced a turnover in 16 consecutive games and 27 of the last 28, which means we've only not forced a turnover in 2 games in the Mike Houston era, which is remarkable, going back to when Bob Trott was defensive coordinator. And then this year, we have forced 18 turnovers now after forcing 4 last night.
That's and most of those are interceptions. I don't remember forcing too many fumbles this year. What's the fumble interception ratio? Do you know? I
believe it's 13-5 or 12-6.
Yeah. So them boys can pick up the fumble ratio. We can really do something. No, I'm obviously joking. Any way you can get a turnover is great, but who leads the nation in interceptions? We got to be in the top 10, top 20 at least in interceptions.
No clue. I'll research that.
All right.
Well, I tell you what, we're definitely. I'm just amazed at how Matt talking about the defense again. Really aggressive. You gotta love those passing lanes, and they just step right in front of that wide receiver and that pick six. I tell you that. By the way, that was one of my points. I know Coach talked about that too. But Malik Fleming, when he gets that pick six, we missed the field goal in the pick six. That changed the whole game. I mean, that was like the big momentum swing there. I know I'm Captain Obvious there, but that was the one that was so huge for us. I was like, we need a turnover so bad. And when he caught that and I was like, wow.
Yeah, that was like a shotgun blast. I mean, he came out of nowhere. On TV, it was interesting. The angle on TV, I'm sure you guys saw it much better from the stadium, but all you could see was the receiver and the ball thrown. And then you just see Fleming come out of nowhere. Yeah. And all of a sudden he's in the end zone. So it was pretty cool to watch on TV. But I'll tell you, that defense, very impressive again, especially in the second half. And they did it differently last night than they did against Houston. Last night, it wasn't all about creating pressure on the quarterback and sack after sack. It was a little more coverage based on the back end. And so I like to see them winning in different ways and successful in different ways. So, but again, that's 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row where we pitch a shutout in the second half. And that's not something we're accustomed to seeing in Greenville. So I love it, man. I absolutely love it. And I love the way the defense is heading.
No doubt about it. Guys on the offensive side of the ball, really happy for Rajay Harris. I know Coach talked about how he's practiced well and CJ Johnson's practiced well. My only concern with CJ, guys, did you see that play where he and the guy and the other player were wrestling on the field? I mean, I don't understand that. Like, I like that kid a lot, and I usually don't say anything, but that could have hurt our team. He could have been kicked out of the game for that. And Coach Houston, Big John, I love Big John. Big John, they got him quickly on the sidelines, and they got him way away from the situation. But he's got to find a way. That game plan, the other coaches just tell him, hey, just do the trash talking.
At some point, you got to realize that you're being suckered in. The people are talking shit to you. And they're getting exactly what they want. They're making you look like a fool because that's all they're doing is trying to sucker you in. It's rope-a-dope. Exactly. They're not meaning the things they're saying. They're just doing it because they know it gets to you. So I don't know, man. I don't know what you tell them, but at some point you just got. I don't know. Maybe they do it in practice. So I would talk shit to them in practice constantly. I would have other players on the football team just constantly talk shit to them in practice, like every single play during practice. Just constantly say your mama's a hoe or whatever. And I'm not calling your mama a hoe, CJ. I'm just saying that's what I would do. I mean, I'm being serious. Does that make sense to you?
I mean, listen, I definitely think that they need to get this under control because it looks like on TV that he almost threw a kick towards the end of that play. Like he almost tried to kick the kid. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, here we go. A huge play that's going to be penalized 15 yards. So, I don't know how they're going to approach it in practice, Kyle.
Well, if you hear it constantly, I would think it would numb you to it.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not numb to it already though. It's exactly. Like, what is this? His third year in the program. And it's at some point you got to get control of your emotions and just let that crap go. Cause that's all that stuff is meaningless. Yep. All that talk, it's all meaningless. I mean, I know like for this younger generation, that's kind of the thing you do, you talk trash and you're boisterous and you're throwing your hands up and it's all about a little attention on TV. But at some point, man, that stuff just gets like I know the fan base is tired of it. So, and it's unfortunate because CJ played a really good game last night. He made some big plays, but it can't happen anymore. It can't happen. And if it happens again, guys, it would be a nice trip to the bench.
Yeah, and he got it. So Tyler Savage has been getting more playing time, and I really believe that's part of the reason he had his best game this year is because Savage has been seeing the field more in his place. So whatever it takes, CJ, if you can play like you did last night, but cut down on the on letting your emotions get the best of you, man. I mean, you could, last night is truly the first time he's even come close to playing to his ability level.
But that's the point, though, Kyle, is the very fact that he is focusing too much on like Matt said, too much on this trash talk and the emotional stuff when he needs to be focusing on his game. He's a great kid, great talent, local product. I mean, that's exactly what you want. You have Holt Nailers and he from Greenville, from Conley, Jeremy Lewis. A lot of these kids, we've got a lot of local kids in the 252 in the Pitt County, surrounding county area, which is great that these kids are staying. But that's you don't want that. That could have really hurt the team. He could have been kicked out of the game.
Sure,
whole stuff could have happened. And so the only I normally don't call out players, but I just don't know.
You're not really calling him out. You're just
I'm concerned about it.
Yeah, you're not talking about poor play and he cost us
No.
the ball game. You're talking about something that's correctable. I mean that's you look. When a kid's making an effort and just screws up, you don't want to call him out for that publicly. No. But that's something you could correct. That's correctable mistakes. You can control that. Nobody can control that but you. That your coaches can't control it. The other players can't control it. The only person who can control the way you act is you.
Hey Matt, who is here's a sidebar for you. Who talked the most trash on your defense or offense in your era there with Coach Logan?
Whew, that's a tough one. I don't know about I know that the Hearts were always those guys were just like high energy. They were always talking. And it wasn't even so much trash. They're just talking, calling out defenses, I mean, off the top of my head, I would say those guys were jawing the most of anybody out there. And then you had the opposite, like Morris Foreman, who was a really quiet guy and really didn't say too much at all. So just different ways to get it done, I guess.
What about on offense? Who would talk the most trash in practice?
On offense, Mitch Galloway was a good talker.
Okay.
Mitch Galloway was
what about Larry Shannon?
He could back it up. My God. I say this before. I think I've said this on the show before, but of all the people I've ever had to try to, I use the word try to cover because I couldn't cover him, but try to cover one-on-one. He was the toughest. He was the quickest. He was so quick in and out of his breaks that virtually impossible to cover one-on-one, especially for a linebacker. So, Mitch Galloway, he could talk a little bit, not in a bad way though. It was more like, having fun in practice and whatnot. But there's just a few of the guys that come to mind.
Well, guys, one of the things I'm concerned about, and again, is what about the kicking game? Something that worries me. I hope I'm wrong. Kyle talked about that. I'm glad you were wrong, Kyle. Normally I don't say that, but that we won the game last night. But the thing that worries me the most is what if our season's on the line with I know we could play hypotheticals, but what if our season's on the line and our kicker misses a field goal, and that's the difference between going to a bowl and not going to a bowl? I'm just really worried.
Well, as far as that's concerned, I mean, if it's a kick less than 40 yards, I feel great about it because let's not distort things here. From under 40 yards, he's 10 out of 11. It's those kicks that are in excess of 40 yards where he struggled. So, last night was the first time he had missed from under 40. And you got to take into consideration the conditions. Right. And then he bounced back and then made the one toward the Murphy Center, and it looked great coming off his foot. Yes, if it's coming down to a kick of 45 yards, then yes, you have some doubts.
Yeah, at some point somebody needs to ask Coach Houston about that. I wish one of us could be at the press conference. You would think the media would have asked him at this point why what is Dapper's range? Is anybody else got a bigger leg if they're not as accurate? Because we clearly will not kick a kick longer than 40 yards. We'll go for it every time.
We don't have a choice.
I don't know if we have a choice or not. we've only seen Dapper try 2 kicks beyond 40, and he missed them both. So if he doesn't have the leg, does anybody else on the team have the leg? That's the question.
I'm saying, don't you think that he would put if the guy was out there?
You would think, but I mean, who the hell knows? I mean,
well, I think if Lath Margin or someone else had been kicking well from that distance in practice, then you would see him attempt them in the game. So I think at this point that Owen Daffer's our best option, and we must not have that ability to make it from that distance. Very consistently at least. I mean, he's only attempted 2, and but those 2 were under 45 yards, if I'm not mistaken, and they were borderline as far as having the distance. The one against South Carolina, it was slightly off to the right, and had it been online, may have hit the crossbar or just barely gone over.
Well, when you're recruiting a kid out of high school, and you see his game film, I understand the goalposts are different in high school, but how different is it? I mean, we should have known on film if he had that kind of leg or not.
Yeah. Well, and
go ahead.
A lot goes into it. Because I've heard Coach Houston talk about making it from 50 or so in practice, if I'm not mistaken. But when the games, I mean, a lot of things can change, and a lot of different factors go into it as far as the snap and the hold, etc.
Bubba, have you taken the time? You're more of a film watcher than me. And Dave and Matt, I'm sure you watch film, but Bubba, have you gone back and taken a chance or taken the time to watch the couple he missed, the 2 he kicked beyond 40, to see how the trajectory was on the ball? Does he have a low trajectory that they're at risk of being blocked?
I have not, but now that you bring that up, I may make the time to do that.
Because that would be a good reason, even if there are times he has the leg to do it. If it's a low trajectory consistently, and there's a good chance for it to be blocked, I could see that being a good reason not to try him.
Guys, I think it's a great point too. And this is going to come up at some point. It might not be this year, it might be next year. But one of the things you can do as a team, you can move practice into the stadium for the last 20 minutes of practice, pump in crowd noise, right? Get him on the actual field in the stadium, pump in crowd noise, and create situations where you're coming after the kick and he needs to make it. And that's a great way to practice it. I know they do that kind of stuff on the practice field, but I would actually get them in the stadium to get them used to those situations. Because it's at some point it's going to bite us, right? If you can't make a 43, 44-yard field goal, it's gonna sneak up on you.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's almost
like you're saying, Matt. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just adding to just a quick point is that it almost feels like, that we're asking him to make a 53, 55-yarder every time, when the reality is it's average, or, I would say closer to average than above average, kick, in my opinion.
Right. You would like to think we have the ability to kick to me, I would expect a Division I kicker to be able to make consistently 47 yards and in. I mean, to me, anything over 47 yards is elite leg strength when you get 48, 49, 50, 52, 54, 55. But anything 47 yards and in, if you're an FBS kicker, you should be able to not make every one of them, but you should be able to make that.
No question about it. But I don't know. Go ahead, Bubba. I'm sorry.
It's definitely a big difference from what we're used to, because with Jake Verity, I mean, you got to about the 38-yard line or so, and really maybe the opponent's 40, and he had the leg to make it from 55 plus. And a lot of the ones that he would miss from 45 or 50 plus, they would just be off to either side with leg that would have been good from 60.
Yeah. Overall, I don't think special teams has played as well this year as last year, period. Even though we're a better football team. I don't know why that is. Do we change something with our special teams coaching? Except for the punter. The punter's been great.
I don't remember if it was this year or last year. We definitely changed the special teams coordinator. But I can't recall if it
Last
was
year.
this year or last year.
Last year is when we had, last year, Roy Tesh, he moved to defensive line, right? He was a special teams coordinator, and then and Coach Houston has a great
that's right. It's our, I believe, yes. Bubba, isn't it our
Tim Dowse?
Yes.
Tim Dowse, coming over from Sam Houston State, and he had previously been the special teams coordinator up at Syracuse and defensive coordinator at Ball State, as well as Western Michigan.
Yep. So I qualified coach on paper for sure.
Hey guys, since we're talking about special teams here, I might say something that's maybe a little unpopular here, but I want to get your take on it. What do you think about Snead returning kickoffs? I'll tell you, he's a smaller guy, and you're prone to take some massive hits and collisions on kickoff return. I think he's coughed it up, and this is not me calling out Snead. That kid is a tough player. It's more just due to his size, but he's coughed it up a few times this year. I know he coughed it up once last year. He did follow it up with a pretty big return out to like the 40-something yard line, which is nice to see. But what are your thoughts on Snead as the kickoff returner? And would you, maybe give somebody else a look there?
I've been talking about that all year, actually, Matt. I think it's punt return because he does, and knock on wood, he does such a great job of catching the ball in traffic and all as a punt returner. I love him there, but I'd like to see Keaton Mitchell get a chance to return kicks with his speed and ability to cut and see the lane. I think Keaton. I mean, maybe they've tried it in practice and it don't look good, but it seems like Keaton could potentially be a good kickoff man.
And what about not only Keaton, but what about Bubba? What about when you want to give guys that are young, a guy like Pop McKay, that we've heard a lot of good things, and we haven't seen him play very, very, very little, right? I mean, what about a guy like him to give him some confidence? He's got a lot of raw talent. Maybe they've tried that. I'm not the coaches, and I'm not pretending to be a coach at Division I level at East Carolina, but it just seems
You're
like
not, Dave?
No.
Oh, I thought you were.
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm not. But just the fact that somebody like him that we know that's a really good player, or like Mitchell is a great example. I mean, Mitchell is so fast that the guy's got speed, probably the most speed we've seen since Chris Johnson, guys.
He'd be right at the running back position for sure.
Yeah. Maybe
What I'd love
Harris
to see,
overall.
I'd love to see Snead and Mitchell back there together.
Oh,
Seeing two return men, like, very rarely. I know there have been times through the years where we've gone with a single return man. I'd like to know just if that's just wanting to get an additional blocker there instead of having two men deep. But it also takes away from being able to kick away. Yeah, you want to kick away from Tyler, then you can't kick away from Keaton unless you sky kick it. And then you're going to have to go really, really shorter with a sky kick, or they can come up and still field the ball about the 10 or 15 yard line. So that's something that I'd love to, get Coach Houston as well as Tim Dowse's thoughts on.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And for me, it's really just a matter of size. He's a smaller guy, and when you get some of these linebackers running down, full speed on a kickoff, 40 plus yards, that impact just for, considering his frame is like 100, maybe 165 pounds, it could lead to some turnovers, and we're kind of seeing that now.
What about Ron Jones? Ron Jones is a big, strong kid, and he's got speed. I wonder how Ron would do returning kicks.
That's an interesting thought. We should ask him.
Yeah, exactly.
Another Axel chimes in on YouTube, suggesting Jaquan Mcmillan. Jaquan Mcmillan, I want to say he maybe did that some at West Forsyth in high school at a high level, but I could be mistaken about that. But I could certainly, when he's certainly had 12 or 13 picks now, and he's looked good running with the football.
And he's fast.
And yes, he has good speed. So who knows? Maybe he's one of those guys that practices at kick returner. Axel also said he was very impressed with the defense. Once again, stellar last night. Good adjustments at halftime to stifle the Bulls' running game after they were ripping off some 15, 20-yard runs in the first half. and I think they finished with 199 for the game or somewhere in that neighborhood. And he said good offensive play calling, in his opinion, throughout.
Yeah, I thought last night. I tell you what, guys, the last night was overall good. Everything was good, but the weather. I mean, the weather was just it is what it is on that. But we can't control that. And but I want to give a
I
shout
feel
out.
like I'm getting sick. I was already feeling like that. Now after last night, I didn't sit in the press box, and I'm not in the tremendous athletics. I'm not a tremendous athletic specimen like Bubba, and I didn't sit in the press box like Dave. So I feel like I'm getting sick today.
No, I was sitting in my seats, guys.
Were you really?
Yes, I was.
Of all nights not to sit in the press box, you said, now that's just idiotic. All the games you sit in the
my
press
friend.
box.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
All right. Let's see if you
Whoa!
Whoa!
Yeah.
No, one of my best friends.
Not so fast, cowboy.
Yeah, exactly. One of my best friends wanted to go to the game, and so we sat we sat in my seats because obviously he doesn't have a credential.
Well, you got 2 press passes. You could have just took him
That's
in.
not, but that's not gonna the Bubba, Kyle, Dave.
Well, they didn't know that it could have been your executive producer.
Oh yeah. This is my handler.
Well, who was it? Who was your friend?
Mitchell Griffin. So,
oh, okay. I saw you and Mitchell. Now you know what? Now at a glance, if you squint real hard, you could have just said that was Bubba.
Hey, okay, yeah.
They both have facial hair.
Yeah, that we could. Yeah,
Me?
Yeah, they could. Hey, Bubba, do you have a fake ID for him? So I don't know. They can't get away with that like you could in the 80s and 90s, right, Matt? Now they got everything so sophisticated, you can't get away with that mess anymore.
Is he a Jamesville boy, by the way?
No, Williamston.
Okay, Griffin.
Farm life. Farm life.
Oh, yeah, a lot of them out there too.
Griffin, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them are farm life.
Yeah, but anyway, we had a great time, and he enjoyed the game, and just overall, I thought, it is what it is with that, with the weather, something you can control. What's the worst for Bubba and Matt? What's the worst game that you ever played in as far as the weather is concerned? That you were just like, man, I love this game, but like it was hard to concentrate or focus because the weather was just so miserable.
Whew.
Growing up in New Jersey, you probably had some doozies in high school.
Yeah, in New Jersey, we used to play our last game of the season on Thanksgiving. So I think it was like 1993, our very last game of the season on Thanksgiving. I want to say it was like 20 degrees, but with the wind chill, it had to be pretty close to 0. That was a rough one. That was a rough game.
What about you, Bubba?
I'll answer that question from a couple different angles. One as a player, and then also as a fan. First, as a player, my senior year, I guess, at Averett, we were playing down at Jaquan, and when we were playing at Jaquan, it was miserably cold. It was probably, and it was freezing rain. So right there, low 30s, and raining pretty steady throughout the game. So that was a miserable game there in early to mid-November. And then as far as a fan, a couple games come to mind. One, the 92 game down at
Is Bubba breaking up on y'all's end or just mine?
Yeah, he's breaking up.
Well, nobody's going to ever know. It's a robot Bubba. Bubba's one of them robots that was dancing in the stands last night.
I'll tell you, I want to throw one more at you since Bubba cut out. I wonder if this is one of the ones Bubba was going to mention because Bubba mentioned from a fan's perspective. I think it was Ruffins, maybe second to last year, up at Temple. Were you guys at that game?
No.
That was the game we were ranked. We were ranked, and we lost.
Fortunately, I was spared.
What were you going to say, Bubba? Repeat your games again after the Chowan game.
Yes, as far as from a fan's perspective, the 1992 game down at
South Carolina.
No, that wasn't 92.
Can you
We got
Can y'all hear me
1992. We got 92. What was the game?
Okay, the 92 South Carolina game.
Okay.
South Carolina attempted a field goal on 3rd down. We blocked it. So after we blocked it, they recovered it. So they were able to attempt it again on 4th down and missed it. And Pirates won 20-18 or something like that. Then one year up at Virginia Tech in 93, that was the beginning of Virginia Tech's bowl streak. Jim Druckenmiller, I want to say, was the quarterback maybe. But they had a really good ground game and 9 games.
It's Robot Bubba again.
Yeah.
I still haven't figured out what was bad about the South Carolina game in '92. He just said what happened with the field goal.
I think it may rain. I don't know.
I'm going to go with it was a terrible promotional.
What was bad about it? The hello.
You got me?
We got you, Bubba.
We were talking about rainstorms, so that's what was bad about it. It was raining much and so hard. It was raining so much and so hard at South Carolina that the water under Williams-Brice Stadium, it was literally 1.5 feet or 2 feet deep.
The two that come to mind for me, one is very recently. I'm surprised neither one of you named this, Matt. I don't know if you were there. 2015 against Virginia Tech was a monsoon. Yeah. And I also twisted my ankle after that game, really bad. And the other one was 2009 Conference Championship game against Houston.
Oh, yeah. That's cold.
Monsoon, and it was cold as crap.
Well, hey, I have another topic to talk about because Semenza being from Jersey, how about the play? I'm just so impressed. I know Bubba and I have talked about it. Tegan Wilk, I love that kid from Pennsylvania. And Matt, I was going to ask you that very fact of having what I hate to use the term but it's used Rust Belt. But we have like we need some kind of Rust Belt pipeline of players because there's a lot of great players in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, all up north. And a kid like him, a coach talked about when they recruited him, he didn't have the certain metrics, but he was a great, smart football player is what coach talked about in the post-game press conference last night. Just want to get your take because you're a Pirate and you're from up north in Jersey, currently living in the great state of Connecticut. But what are your thoughts on that?
So I'll tell you, I remember watching Tegan Wilkes' high school film when he first committed, and I was beyond impressed with that kid. He's a football player. He has instincts. I thought watching his film, he had elite instincts. He looked like a guy to me who, like a coach's son type of player where he always knows where he's at on the field at all times, just smart, and he can make plays. If you ever watch his high school film, it's very impressive. But, he comes from that Pennsylvania pipeline. Those guys live, breathe, sleep football in Pennsylvania. I love it. I love recruiting there. And I've been saying for a long time that we should try to go, especially for offensive linemen, we should try to go and poach a lot of those MAC schools who they do bring in a ton of offensive linemen. So let's just take like an Ohio U, for example, right? They get these big offensive linemen from Pennsylvania, Ohio, guys that weren't 4 stars, but they can play. Give them an opportunity to come south to North Carolina. I'm sure a lot of them would take you up on that. I'd like to see more of it, especially on the offensive line. I think that's a really good place to pull in O-linemen.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's something that we can. I don't know who's in charge of that area, but there's got to be with the likes of yourself, Scott Harley. You can start naming all the guys from up north that have come to Greenville. I mean, hey, if it's a great football player, and there's a lot of guys that are like Tegan Wilk that are not even recruited because they don't have enough stars by their name, which is a bunch of crap. He's a perfect example of a kid that fits our narrative of being a Pirate and that we have a chip on their shoulder. So when we play these ACC schools or maybe Big Ten schools that, in his case, that overlooked him, then hey, we can that guy's a baller, and I'm glad we have him on our team.
Yeah, it's Matt says we need to recruit more up north. Terry Gallagher says we need to get more players from Georgia. So I guess it all.
Well, hey, all of the above, baby, all of the above. I mean, if they're a great player, we want them. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Yep.
But that was one thing that I noticed last night. That kid's coming in. He didn't have obviously he's young and he didn't have a number, the snaps. But he's one of these kids next man up, and he's taking advantage of his opportunities. And thank God we have him as a Pirate, no doubt about it. Looking ahead, I know that we have our next game. Very excited about another thing, guys. It's going to be very emotional. Ruffin McNeil coming back, inducted into the Rock and Roll. I keep saying it. Tomorrow night. It's tomorrow. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction
Ruffin
ceremony.
McNeil, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Sports Objective, you heard it here first. Ruffin McNeil in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I keep
Hey,
saying,
Kyle, Coach Ruff may be as country as a row of corn, but he's a rocker.
That's right. He's going in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There you go.
I keep saying that because tomorrow night, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony is tomorrow night, and I'm excited about that. But I'm more excited about Ruffin McNeil. I wanted to get you guys your thoughts on that. I think that's going to be a very emotional game.
I wish he was going to be there Saturday. He's going to be there Friday for the ceremony. He has to be. I think they play Miami. They play Miami. They play Florida State or Miami.
They just lost to Miami. They play Florida State.
Florida State.
Okay, so unfortunately, he's going to be in Tallahassee Saturday.
Yeah.
But he'll be there Friday. I'm guessing his wife will probably accept it for him Saturday on field. So it's awesome. I wish he could be there.
Yeah.
He'll get when they say his name, he'll get a standing O. Love Ruff. So very, very glad to see he's going in the Hall of Fame.
And Matt, I want to get your take. I know you're not in Philly, but Rod Carey, you were talking, people were talking about, with East Carolina and Mike Houston. Rod Carey, man, I mean, do you think he survives after this year? I mean, I know there was a COVID year and all that stuff, but do people really care about? I know Temple's been more of a basketball school anyway, but do you think they care about Carey enough to say, is there a passion there that to get rid of this guy?
I really don't think there's any passion for him. To be honest, there's really not much passion for Temple football, period. Yeah. I know that, and this goes back to that whole conversation, we were talking about last week with markets, right? They're in this unbelievable sports market, but you really just don't see much passion for Temple football. When you go to a Temple game, it's abysmal. It's a horrible atmosphere. Yep. Absolutely horrible. Maybe one of the worst atmospheres I've ever been to for a football game. But they can recruit well because they can get the South Jersey players. They can get PA, obviously, into deeper into Pennsylvania.
I can go down to Virginia, DC. They actually come down to North Carolina some.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't see the second half of the season going well for them. I don't see them winning many games at all. So he could be in his last stretch here.
It just and there's people. What I'm getting at is the players transferring. You have I'm Kyle. Kyle, we were talking last year about and Bubba with COVID and everything, but it just seems like I don't know, just maybe a gut feeling he's lost the players or just not.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, coming in, I'm not going to take him for granted. Next Saturday, but
we can't take anybody for granted.
No, but just saying that I'm hoping that we come out.
Did you see the Charleston Southern game?
Oh yeah, certainly did. But the very fact that we could go out there and get a good lead on them, and that's one thing I want to ask you guys.
Just win. I don't care if it's, at this point in the season. I don't care if it's about 50 or 1. It don't matter now.
No, I know that. I'm just saying. My question would be is how do you? One of the things I've heard a lot in Pirate Nation, just listening to people, like at the games and around town, is the very thing that how do you finish the games? That's the thing. One thing they're saying again last night. I heard Pirate fans overhearing them say, I wish we could finish games. So, Matt, how do you do that? Bubba, Kyle, how do you finish games?
How do you finish games? I'd say
Meaning
you go
like
up by.
I thought we did a pretty
Yeah.
good job of finishing the game last night.
I'd say you go up by 2 touchdowns and don't let them score anymore.
I'm saying as a whole. I mean, as a whole, obviously it worked out for us last night. That was more a halftime.
How do you finish games? I guess you're meaning when we're in a close game with someone like UCF, Houston. How do you finish off? You do what you did last night. Now, I will say this: when you force 2 turnovers, when you're up by 11, only coming away with 3 points late like that was a bit aggravating to me. To go up by 15, you give the offense a short field 2 times in a row. You like to come away with at least 1 touchdown, but at least we got the 3 to I said 11. We were up by 12, but at least we got the 3 to make it a 15-point game. So they'd have had to score twice plus get a 2-point conversion.
And what about that?
In general, I think you do what you did last night. You play good defense, you force turnovers, and when you have scoring opportunities, you score. Also, you pick up first downs. That's another thing when you got a lead. Pick up first downs, and I actually think last night there was a couple times we threw the football where I was wondering why the hell we were throwing the ball when we should have been running clock. But in general, that's how you finish games. So you do what you did last night.
And guys, what about that? Another thing that was driving me crazy is that who was it that scored that touchdown and for South Florida and then USF, and then thank God the refs called the holding call and they brought it back on him, and there was another holding call after that, but that was another huge play that could have hurt us too, or it made it actually an interesting.
And it was a legitimate hold. I'd have to go back and see who the players were on that play, but had the guy not grabbed the jersey of the East Carolina defender, most likely he would have got the tackle. If not, he'd at least slowed him down.
Okay.
Is this a good time to jump in and talk about how bad the American Conference officials are? I mean, they are awful.
Makes you want to join the Sun Belt.
They are awful. I mean, every week it seems like there's a missed call. And you know what's really interesting about that game? So I went back and I watched the Holton touchdown. I'm 100% convinced he scored a touchdown there. It became like the NBA where we got a makeup call.
All the safety.
Right, because that was a safety, guys. There's no doubt about that was a safety. So we got screwed on one end, and then we got the NBA style makeup call in the second half. So it's like it almost balanced itself out. But American conference officials are bad.
So is their replay, and that doesn't make any sense to me, Matt. Because if you screw it up on the field, you screw up on the field. But how they consistently screw up replays, and you go back to the Tulsa game last year, and they screwed up replay reviews. Overturned last year in that Tulsa game. They overturned a damn play that shouldn't have been overturned that cost us the ball game.
And how about the very fact of you had the touchdown that you said the hold was legit. But you have the touch that could have.
That was a good call. I
said it was a good call. But then we had the call that I'm right there. My seats are right there on the goal line. I couldn't tell you about the safety because that's at the other end of the field in the Murphy Center. I can't see that far away, obviously, to see like the line. But
we have a scoreboard. I use it. That's how I watch the game.
I watch it too, but I'm just saying that I literally my vision right there with the goal line is right there, and he was definitely over that line. But I said this, and maybe this sounds bitter, but I feel like
he was definitely over the goal line, Dave. The question was his knee down?
That's what I know. I'm just saying that the very fact of with them, if it's Cincinnati, if we're the top dog, and whenever we are that, we'll get a lot of calls that we probably shouldn't. But because we're not one of the top dogs in the league, then we're not getting the calls that we deserve. I mean, that was a perfect example of one that really, that's where it's all of a sudden a ball game, 14-13, But anyway, I'm glad it all worked out. But you're right, Matt. The guys give me a hard time for being hard on the officials, but I think we have reason to be
not recently. In the past, but not recently. The officials have been bad, very bad recently.
Dave, kind of a random comment here. Whenever you're applauding something like you just did, I want to go kind of like the Nutty Professor, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules.
Hercules.
But
How about the comment from Casey?
I'll go to that in just a moment, Dave. But kind of this is going back to Matt's era, that 1997 game up at Syracuse where the Pirates were shut out 56-0.
Yeah.
That was the last time. So that streak was obviously extended last night, and the primary reason I pointed that out is just because that's crazy that we have not been shut out since Matt was playing for us.
What are you talking about? I'm
You
confused.
had to mention that, Bubba. Bubba, you had to bring that up. That's one
Yeah,
of the
I had to mention. I had to mention that. Yeah.
Why did you bring that up? Is it the anniversary of that game or something?
No, I just saw it in the game notes, and
Oh, okay.
and I had, to be honest, I'd forgotten that it had been that long.
Did you know that was our 900th game last night in ECU football history?
No, but
Yep. I'm serious.
Hey, game notes are full of all kinds of stuff like that.
I'm serious. That was our 900th game.
Oh, I had no idea whether you were serious or not.
Go to Hoyt Sellers. There's several posts about it.
I have a question for you guys. So
Yeah.
my question will be, where are those people that are comparing Mike Houston and Scotty Montgomery? Where are those people tonight? Have you
Probably at their homes, or either on the way home from work, or in restaurants, or perhaps at shopping malls. Maybe even on dates.
That was one thing that I did a Kyle from LaGrange on. So these keyboard bandits are talking about how that Mike Houston is no better than Scotty Montgomery. Where are they tonight? That I was like, if you ever want Mike Houston and these guys to win,
I know where one of them probably is.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, I just thought
he's a friend of the show.
I know who you're talking about, and that's ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. It really is. Yeah, 1932 got a mention or two as well on ESPN. Yeah, that's when we started the program, and I'll tell you what. Speaking of which,
established 1932. That's right. It got mentioned on the with our 900 game. Established 1932. Hey, 900 games ago. And now you can get the hat right there. And what marketing? We just totally missed the effing opportunity to the 900 game since 1932, and we weren't even aware of it until it was after it was played. But we could have really marketed the crap out of those hats around that. But oh well, too late now. But there you go. If you want to show everybody that you were established 1932, just like the Pirates, wear that hat.
Yeah, wear the hat. We got it right there, baby. So I get your hats. In fact, I think we're sold out of the first batch, or right at it, right, Bubba? So make sure you guys get that if you're looking for
Bubba, how many hats did you actually get to give out last night from people who purchased them?
About 10, I think. 10 to 12.
So we still got a lot of hats to disperse, huh?
Yes, but most of those have been spoken for, like Dave said, and I think we have one or two remaining that are unsold, and kind of accumulating a list of people that are interested. And a lot of folks say that last night when I was passing the hats out to people at tailgates, people saw the hat, and not only were they interested in a hat, but they're like, hey, I would like that logo on a hoodie.
Yep, hoodies, t-shirts. We hope to do it in the future, and we gotta get the word out more and more that they're available. Of course, right now we got all of the business we can handle, but we do want to do a second batch and perhaps some hoodies next. And glad people like them.
No doubt about it. We'll have our store up and running here in no time. So that's something that we're working on right now behind the scenes. So we'll have that where you can actually go between social media with Facebook and the like, and our website. So just hang tight if you're do that. And Bubba, I know, has been working hard he's been doing an excellent job on keeping up with that, but he's the numbers guy, right, Matt? I mean, he's the numbers guy. So we'll let the numbers guy take care of all that.
Speaking of numbers guy, this has nothing to do. This is a terrible segue. This is like a Brian Last and Jim Cornette segue to do a sponsor ad. I wanted to mention on the show, I mentioned on Pirate Radio last night, Eric Ward, and I mentioned before the show. Eric Ward, the game atmosphere the last two home games in terms of the music and the game production, light years away of what it's been the last couple years. I don't know what's changed, But if somebody's turned Eric Ward loose and let him do his thing, then they keep letting him do his thing, because the music selections from beginning to end have been
much better.
100% approved. I love Fight for Your Right to Party after big stops on third down. I love Kickstart My Heart to on kickoffs.
Like this
Motley Crue, there you go. Getting down in a Pirate Town after the victories as we're leaving the stadium. Eric Ward, thank you for taking my suggestion, given to you by, I won't say his name on the air, but we know who he is. I told Jessica, I said, if I drop dead tomorrow and this becomes a tradition, we play it forever after games. That's my legacy right there. Get down in the Pirate Town, me and play it after ECU games.
There you go. Well, hey, any song sounds better after a Pirate win. The food tastes better, Matt, don't you think, after a Pirate win?
No doubt.
So you guys, we got a few games left. We got a few minutes left.
Hey guys, one more thing is, I'm on. I told you guys to remind me of a story earlier.
Oh yeah, lunchtime. Yeah, lunch.
Okay, all right. So I was eating lunch. My friend and I were eating lunch at a little Greek place in Kinston called the Olympian today, and her and I were talking, and over here this guy on his phone, and I hear him go, "It's Old Dominion and one other." Yeah, it was Old Dominion and one other. And I said, it's Old Dominion, James Madison, Marshall, and Southern Miss. Actually, it's 4 going to the Sun Belt. And he looked at me like I had turd hanging out of my ears. And he just kept us going in this conversation. And, but my friend looks at me and goes, you try to help people and they don't appreciate it. And so I'm like, wow, well, what an ass. And, and then all of a sudden hear him, yep, it's either Old Dominion Freight Line or another one we're going to use. Absolutely nothing to do with conference expansion, but when I heard that Old Dominion announced yesterday they were going to the Sun Belt, so it made perfect sense. So nothing to do with it. So my apologies to the guy for jumping in on this conversation. I'm sure he's not watching because I don't think he cares about football now, but nonetheless, it was funny.
So we got a few games left. You guys think what do you like? I'm going to stick with my 7-5 prediction that said preseason way before we were. What do you guys think? You think we're definitely going to be 6-6, 7-5?
I hope you're right in 7-5, but I'm going to go 6-6 and be happy about it.
I'll be happy with 6-6 for sure. But what do you think, Matt?
I think I'm very confident we're going to. I'll say this. I'm very confident we spank Temple. Navy scares the hell out of me. I just, like I said all the time, I'd rather play Alabama than Navy here. I don't know what it is about that school, but we just have a tough time getting over that hump. Now, we should beat them. I think we're better. I think we're the better team this year. I think we get to 6-6. This is a long way of saying I think we get to 6-6. And, it's either going to be Navy or at Memphis. We're going to have to step up and get one of those games.
No doubt. What about you, Bubba?
He said 4-8. 4-8.
No, I definitely. I think that we'll get to 6, potentially 7, and obviously make a bowl. But go ahead, guys. I'm getting some food at the moment.
Speaking of go ahead, if we get to 6, finding out what we found out today about the Cure Bowl and who found it.
All right, guys.
Okay, but Rod Dowdy's daughter founded the Cure Bowl, and this will be the first year we have been bowl eligible. I maybe since that bowl's been in existence. No, maybe it's either the first year or the second year we've been bowl eligible since that bowl's been in existence. It may have been around since 14, but we went to a better bowl in 14.
Yeah.
So I can just about guarantee you, unless we do get to 7 and maybe get the military bowl, but if we get to 6, I just about be willing to bet you we'll be in Orlando playing in the Cure Bowl. Yep. My preference if we get to 6 is Myrtle Beach, unless it's against Coastal Carolina. I have no interest in playing Coastal in a home game in a friggin' bowl. So I'd welcome Orlando if we're 6-6 again, I think if we get to 7, we'll get a better opportunity. Would you guys rather go Myrtle Beach or Orlando? Myrtle because it'd be closer.
Well, the matchup, I like both.
Yeah. I don't want to play Coastal. If it's anybody but Coastal, including a rematch with App, I'd take that. Anybody but Coastal. Not because I'm scared of Coastal. It's just playing a home team in a bowl. That's BS.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That was my thinking. Exactly, Kyle. Is that very unfair advantage? Although, hey, Kyle, how about the fact that with our fan base, what do you? I wanted to ask you guys this a couple weeks ago. Just dawned on me. I didn't ask it. Can you imagine, like, if it's what's the stadium seat there? About 20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Like, literally, I think we could sell 20,000 bowl seats. I mean, our fan base has been hungry for just to go to a bowl for all this time.
Could you imagine if we were playing Charlotte in the Myrtle Beach Bowl?
Oh my God, that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. A great rivalry.
Yeah, at this point, I think it wouldn't matter who we played. If it was Myrtle Beach, then and technically that's Sunbelt against MAC, but any ESPN owned bowl, as they've made the statement now that they will trade them around.
Please do that. Please do that. We need the old school way of doing things because
they've done it the last couple of years.
It's terrible how they have these matchups that nobody cares about. Let me tell you something. That Peach Bowl, NC State and East Carolina hadn't played in 4 or 5 years, and then you have. I mean that was a great.
Well, I think really, to be honest with you, Dave, East Carolina, because it's been long since we've been to a bowl, we'll care about any bowl match.
Oh yeah,
anywhere but the Fenway Bowl, guys. I mean, I'll take Orlando. I'll take Myrtle Beach. I don't want to play in the Fenway Bowl.
You get an ACC opponent.
I know. I just, it's. Well, if you're playing an ACC opponent, you're talking about 2 potentially warm weather schools outside of like BC and Syracuse to have to travel north and play in that weather. Historically, we don't play great in the cold weather, so I'll take Orlando any day of the week.
Orlando or Myrtle Beach, either one. I think in the matchup in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, it would be a MAC or a Sunbelt school probably on the other side. In Orlando, it would be, I believe it's the Sunbelt school. So a potential matchup down in Orlando. Could we get our rematch with Georgia State?
Ooh.
That would be a chance for a little payback.
That would be nice. That would be a lot. Speaking of a lot of tickets sold, that would be and you have a lot of people from the Atlanta area.
From Georgia State. I think you're about to say you have a lot of people from Georgia State.
No. I was talking about our fan base. There's a lot of people from Atlanta that would definitely travel down. That we would have not only our the Pirate Nation, but certainly the Atlanta fan. All the fans we have there. Anyway, where we are, there's going to be a lot of fans, I think, because...
Yeah, let's just get to 6 first. Look, you don't want to look back at this conversation and it not matter because we didn't get a bowl. But this will be a real fun conversation to have once we get to 6 wins. Then we can be giddy like... Well, I won't use that reference, but we can be really happy.
But, yeah...
Speaking of the Cure Bowl, like I was mentioning to you guys earlier, we have a connection there with Ron Dowdy's daughter.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I thought you may have, but while I was ordering my food here at Bohungles, I missed that. I missed that.
Very fancy French restaurant.
Yeah.
I mentioned that and how if we get to 6, that with Ron Dowdy's ties to that bowl game, that may be where we're headed because they will probably want us, and you want to go where you're wanted.
Oh, no doubt about it. You guys have anything before we go?
Yeah, Robert Dedrick chiming in on YouTube saying Military Bowl, close plus ACC opponent, but Myrtle Orlando would be okay too.
I think we probably got to get to 7 to get the Military Bowl. I guess it depends on who's bowl eligible. because Cincinnati's
Not
going to
this
be in at
first year,
least.
only 6-6.
Huh?
Could
We were
Virginia
6-6.
Tech's 3-4 now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Could,
which,
could the Hokies get to 6-6?
I'll tell you one thing. I don't think we have to. I can tell you one thing right now. The Virginia Tech fans are livid. I don't know if I don't even know if they're going to have a coach at the end of the season. I really don't.
Yeah, they're not happy with Justin Fuentes.
Not at all.
No,
Justin Fuente either.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay.
I know it's coming, Bubba. I was waiting for that, Bubba.
Yeah, I'm not good with names, Bubba. You know that. I'll forget a guest name halfway through the show.
At this point, Hokie fans are probably calling him Justin Fuentes.
Hey, by the way, last night I heard a guy.
That's nice what they're calling him. Actually.
Last night I heard a guy behind me literally yell. He's being serious. He yelled down at South Florida's coach. He said, "Hey, Coach Scott, you're just as stupid as our offensive coordinator, Donnie Kilpatrick."
Oh my God.
Well, that's Jesus. If you're going to talk trash, get the name right.
Wow. No doubt
Also
about
heard somebody talking geography trash, yelling at the South Florida. You guys ain't even in South Florida. You're in West Florida. Why ain't y'all the University of West Florida? Ain't nothing like geography trash talk. That's good stuff.
Hey, Kyle, did you say to South Florida what I told you to there at the end of the game?
I did not. I wish I'd have seen that text. I would have done it. That would have been hysterical.
It's so stupid, but it would have been funny.
It would have been. It would have been.
All right, guys, we got a big game coming up, and that'll be obviously a week from. Hard to believe. There's the only bad thing. Another bad thing about a Thursday night game is there's no game literally tomorrow for the Pirates. But good news, we have the break there, and we'll be able to get some rest, like we talked about earlier.
I think I'm going to play tomorrow.
All right, let's do it. But we'll look at we'll obviously have our Pirate preview coming up in a few days, Tuesday, and then Thursday. On Thursday rather, and then our playback will be obviously Saturday night next week or Sunday. So make sure to keep that in mind.
And right now, the early weather forecast for next Saturday is sunny, a high around 60 degrees, overnight low around 40 with a 3 o'clock kickoff. Perfect weather for football.
No doubt, guys. Let's get it. Let's get Dowdy-Ficklen. By the way, get your tickets, ECU tickets, ecpirates.com. For the ECU ticket office, 1-800-DIAL-ECU.
Let's see 40,000. I'd like to say 50, but let's be realistic. Let's see 40,000 in there next Saturday.
Hey, that would be rocking, man. That boneyard, get that.
Hey, guys,
boneyard.
do you think? You hate to look back, but do you think if we'd got Houston last week and we were playing for win number 6, do you think we could have gotten 40 in there for Temple? Or maybe 50 even is what I meant to say, because I'm going for 40 now.
There's a shot. Yeah, there's a shot there. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so before we go, we were going to thank our great sponsors. I want to thank Kevin KK Walker. KK has been a friend of the programs for going only back a couple of years now, and he stepped up, and we appreciate his sponsorship of this show, the Pirate Playback. L&K Custom Homes, Kevin Walker. He's a licensed general contractor. Give him a call today, 336-688-8461. He's in the Triad area, the Greensboro area, his hometown and all that. He actually, if you haven't seen his work, guys, on Facebook, unbelievable. Give him a call again, 336-688-8461.
Is that your cat, Dave?
What?
Is that your cat I hear?
No, actually it's pretty quiet around here.
That's my dog.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
He's a pug, man. He's down there snoring. You could probably hear him
with the little push in face.
Hey, Matt.
We ain't got any time for any meows around here. Be more like a dog.
Wow. All right. And we want to thank our other sponsors. Obviously, we have Tim Neal, and he has Tim is a friend of mine. Surveillance and Security Solutions, LLC, reliable, timely, and accurate. And Tim does a great job. If you need any security detail, call him today, 716-490-4503. Again, 716-490-4503. Call Tim today, and he'll take very good care of you. Thank you, Tim, for being a sponsor and supporting our program. It means a lot to me. And I know Kyle and Bubba, another great guy, a former Pirate of the Skip Colts, and I believe I would say Ruffin McNeil era, right? For the D lineman, Josh Smith.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you need go ahead, Bubba.
Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was going to say, if you need your deck pressure washed, your home, or if you have really dirty children, get up with Josh.
He'll pressure wash them, right? 252. Oh, let me get that number. But anyway, moving along. There we go. 252-241-0812. Give Josh a call today. And I know, Kyle, you actually have Skyler from Eastern North Carolina Lawn Pro. He took care of you, didn't he?
Oh, he took care of my lawn.
That's what I was talking about.
Back in August, we got a 0-turn mower, but it was in the shop and needed some work. And right now, people can't get parts for a damn thing, so it was an extended time period. And Skyler took care of my yard here. I got a couple acres, and he took care of it for me. And had him come out and price the big job where I got a bunch of brush that needs to be torn down and some trees that have fallen in that brush. And Skyler's got reasonable prices and does good work. And so if you're in the Lenoir County, Greene County, Wayne County, Pitt County, he'll be happy to price a job for you and do good work.
I appreciate Skyler's support of the program as well. And definitely there's all kinds of stuff you can get done with your lawn. Appreciate all our great sponsors, guys. And folks, if you want to be a sponsor, then you're hearing our voices, then simply the sports obja@gmail.com. You can get up with us, and we'd love to have you, especially those folks in the Connecticut area. They have a lot of money, and I know Matt Semenza will come knocking on the doors. They love East Carolina up in Connecticut.
Matt, can you get Vince? Can you go over to Stanford and get Vince to cut a check?
Yeah, just knock on the door there, WWE headquarters.
That's what we need. We could definitely use it. Vince McMahon Stadium.
Hey,
go Pirates, go!
There you go. You guys have anything before we go?
Just glad we won. Looking forward to next Saturday with much better weather, hopefully.
No doubt. How about you, Matt?
Hey, it's one thing I wanted to say. I love to see Holton Ahlers running last night. Really enjoyed that. Something we've all been calling for a long time. I'd like to see more of that over the second half of the season. I think it really helps balance our offense out a little bit. And he showed when he runs, when he leaves the pocket, he can be dangerous. He can make plays with his feet, and he did it last night several times. So just looking for more of that. And like I said, we're going to spank Temple next week. So
spank them.
Here we go.
There you go. Spank.
What if they like it?
That's a whole nother show. Bubba, what about you before we go?
We're here a week and a half from the start of Pirate basketball season. And with that being the case, we will have some interviews here in the coming days with the likes of Antoine Jackson and then also new assistant coach, Steve DeMayo.
DeMayo?
Yep.
All right.
All right, so guys, good luck to
somebody
the Pirates.
At the store? What am I hearing there? I hear like a register or something.
And maybe, I don't know. I'm not at Walmart. I'm at home.
That's old school, Dave. That's old school.
I know, no doubt. All right, guys, appreciate you very much. Part of the Pirate Playback, and good luck to the Pirates, as we said, next Saturday against Temple, Hall of Fame weekend. Get your tickets again, ECUPirates.com, 1-800-DIAL-ECU. Until next time, you've been watching and listening to the Pirate Playback on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody. Go Pirates.
It's purple.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Udon Cheek, assistant track and field coach at East Carolina University. You are plugged into the Sports Objective podcast. If you are a fan, you are plugged into the right place. And if you're really a fan, you will share that link. My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul. And I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode. Boom!